off my methodology because I noticed a glaring error in my lit review. I had this weird situation where basically when you do your upgrade, which is like at the end of the first year, it's when you take it's kind of like a qualifying exam, and you have to produce a document, a 20,000 word document that basically has your lit review and your methodology in it. And the assumption is that you can kind of keep those pretty similar until you actually submit. But I had in my lit review a section on something that was better suited to my methodology. So now I'm trying to fit everything back together. So where I thought my methodology was done, it's actually really not. And where I thought my lit review was done, it's also really not. So I'm spending some time today just like working on those, moving things around, taking out any repetitions, adding in any massive errors and omissions. Yeah. Asked pretty often is, what is your thesis about? And I haven't really perfected the elevator pitch yet, even though I'm now in my 4th year. You'd think I'd be a bit more on top of it, but this would be, I thought, a really good point for me to talk to you about my project and talk to you about what it is I'm doing. So basically, I look at voluntary arts groups. So that's things like AmDram, amateur dance, choirs, things like that. And I'm looking at how people mark their membership in these voluntary groups that don't have pay scales, don't have contractual obligations, and that are part-time, to see how people, through their embodied and multimodal interaction, mark that membership, basically. So I look at things like how are people negotiating who's in charge at a given time, how people managing the social side of these groups. So a big reason for joining these groups a lot of the time is to get like a social group or a social circle of friends that have like common interests, maybe that's dance or singing or drama or whatever. But the sort of key question there is, how do these really diverse, like mixed ability groups create something that's really cohesive against sort of the challenges that amateur arts groups face? So I haven't explained that very well at all. Basically, like a one-line summary is I look at how people's embodied interaction demonstrates their membership and negotiates that membership within voluntary arts groups. That's actually something I need to get better at like saying. I think everyone says when you start your PhD, like try and really work on getting an elevator pitch together, and I just have never been able to do that. I'm not very good at summarizing. Actually, that's probably a good job for ChatGPT, just to sort of chuck in my abstract and say, you know, give me a sentence to describe this. So if you're a PhD student also struggling with that, maybe that's an idea, I don't know.
Should you give it a title?
I am 105 days out now, so I'm counting down. And one thing I've done, which has been like actually really helpful, is I've printed out like a calendar view of the months until February 27th, which is my submission day, hopefully. And I've just written everything in, so every little thing that's happening between now and then. I've even put Christmas in, like I know when Christmas is, like I live it every year, but I put it in so that I can see visually how much time I've got to work on everything. Arrived at rehearsal. I'm super ready. The first one here. That's my foot. I'm often the first one here, just because of the time it takes me to get from the office to here, and I just come straight through, which means I'm always carrying heavy bags. But yeah, we're a couple of weeks out from our show at the moment, which happens on the 30th of November. It's currently the 14th or 15th of November, so that's coming up soon. We've had a few people with injuries though, so that's causing some problems at the moment. We're trying to like move things around, and people are filling in for people who now can't dance, or some people can do like some bits and not others, so it's a bit complicated. One thing that I really do genuinely love about being in this group, in this company, is that it gives me something to like focus on that isn't my PhD. So when my PhD is getting like a bit full on, and feeling a bit kind of like hopeless, I always know that I have this group and this space, and it's such a fun like social atmosphere, and I really just recommend that everyone doing a PhD has some kind of outlet that isn't like research based, or isn't anything to do with your studies or anything academic at all actually. And even better, I'm gonna like add an element to that. I really think it's amazing if you can have like an outlet that is in some way creative, whether that's like creative through your body, it's something like movement, creative through like exercising your mind, something like poetry or creative writing, or just things like that. But I think that one thing that is super important in particular is fostering like a community that know you outside of your PhD life, so that you're not constantly talking about your PhD. So like people here don't really ask me that much about my thesis and how it's going, and I love that. Like in the office, I feel like I'll go in and then people will ask me like straight away, like, how's your research going? And I really like those conversations as well, and it's like fine in that context, but sometimes I just don't want to talk about it, and I just want to be like me and be Naomi, but like not Naomi the researcher. So like when I come here, I can like take off my research hat and put on my like dance hat, and I'm suddenly like Naomi the dancer or Naomi the choreographer or whatever, and I really value that about this like particular space. Friday. I'm just getting ready, and I really did not want to go into the office today. I woke up and I just was so exhausted, and I even gave myself a bit of a line because I had dance yesterday, but still I woke up just thinking I can't do this today, but I'm really trying to push through because I know that I don't do much work when I work from home. I get really easily distracted, so I'm trying to make a habit of going in. The other thing that happens when I go in is I tend to spend money that I don't have on coffee and food and things like that, which is a bad habit that I need to break. But one problem at a time, to be honest. And honestly, coffee is like my one vice. Like I don't spend money on clothes or anything like frivolous. Like I'm quite careful with my money, especially now that my funding has stopped. So I don't like begrudge myself a coffee now and then, and I think honestly that's fine. If it was avocado toast, however, we all know that would be different. So yeah, I'm just doing a little bit of makeup, just done my skincare, and I'm ready to go. It's about 8:30, I think. So yeah, this is usually what kind of time I head in. I try and treat my PhD like a 9 to 5, which is a bit tricky because I then sometimes work some afternoons and things like that. But my whole kind of thing is I don't want it to encroach on my like social life or my personal life too much. I actually ordered a book in the library, and I just got an email saying that that's arrived, so I'm going to go and get that now. Campus Cafe have started doing gingerbread lattes. It's festive season, so I'm very excited to see what this tastes like.